So today we are going to start up with our first lecture, which is the introduction for Excel today. So as we start with the lecture, I would like to tell you about the roadmap that you have to follow in order to learn Excel. So this course, which is Data Analysis for Manager, is basically used by actually taking Excel. So first of all, we begin with a brief introduction about Excel, and I'll be telling you about the various ribbon that we have used in Excel and all the formulas and the function that has been used in Excel. So the first lecture is going to be the introduction lecture, where which you will be talking. We'll be talking about the basic of Excel. Then, and moving ahead with the next lecture, we will be talking about how we do data cleaning in Excel, because data is the most important thing that is be used for analysis. So it is very important that the raw data that we have is actually clean and is free from any kind of anomaly. So we apply various techniques in Excel in order to clean the data. So after the data cleaning, it is very important that how do we do data visualization in Excel. So visualization is very important part in Excel. So we will be actually working on various charts and graph in order to display our data in a more better format. And after that, we have introduced some of the very powerful formulas and function which you can use in. We have got some of the business problem, and in those business problem, we have used some of the very important and very advanced Excel formulas and functions like VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and SUMIFs, COUNTIFs, and many other functions as well. And then we'll be moving forward to the pivot table, where we'll be talking about that how you can take your base table and you can create a pivot table in which you can summarize your data. And moving forward, we will be talking about how we can create dashboards. So dashboards are used in order to make your data more presentable. So we will be creating the dashboards. We will be having our base table, and from that base table, we will be creating the dashboards, which will be making your data look more interactive and more presentable format. So welcome all to this course. I hope as you move forward, you will be learning Excel in detail. So we have chosen the topic that is actually a very advanced topic. So the first lecture is going to be very basic, but as we move forward to the next unit, you will be learning about some of the advanced topic in Excel. So let me share the screen with you. Okay, so as you can see over here in this, we have got this Excel sheet, and in this, we are going to start with very basic things that you should know about Excel. So first of all, Excel was developed by Charles in 1985, and Excel contains mainly the rows and columns. So you can see over here that we have columns like A, B, C, D, right? And here we have rows like 1, 2, 3, 4. So the very basic unit of Excel is actually a cell, right? It's a cell which is basically when we talk about the cell over here, which contain 123. So we will be actually annotating it as B3. So that means this 123 is in B column and in third row, right? So similarly over here, you can say that there is this ribbon, right, in Excel. So each ribbon has got certain formulas and certain functionality. For example, the home ribbon, which is used more for the font and for the alignment and for finding a particular item in the cell or for inserting any or doing a conditional formatting, as well as for performing the cell styles in a table. And when we come to the insert tab is used for actually inserting the graph or the pivot table or any form, and all the graphs that are available over here, and it is used for comment in case if you are reviewing any of the work. And then we come to the draw here is used, for example, when you have to use any of the drawing tool, so you can use it with the help of the draw ribbon. Then we have a page layout. So then we have a page layout. So it is used for actually introducing the margins and as well as which orientation you want your page to be, whether it has to be landscape or whether it has to be a portrait. Whether you want a grid lines or not, you can just take it. In case you do not want the grid lines, you can just remove the grid lines and make your data look more presentable. If you require a heading or you do not require the heading. So all this is there in the page layout option. The formula, we will be working extensively with the formula ribbon over here. So all the formulas over here, we will be just like how to use a name manager, define the name, use it in the formula. Then we'll be going to the data tab. In the data tab, if we have to convert our text to the columns or rows to the column in order to see whether they are duplicates and to remove the duplicates in order to clean the data, using what if analysis, using a forecast sheet to show the forecast graph. So this all we have used in our further lectures. The review is basically used mainly for the proofing work. That means if you want to prove your data and for your language or for showing the changes as well as showing the comments and making any changes. Then the view option over here, the if you want to view your page in any of the format, you can see it from here. And even if you want to freeze pane in which you do not want the column names to move, so you can even freeze the pane over here. You can also make macros and you can put some of the tasks inside the macros so that it can be repetitive also, right? So all these this ribbons that are over here, we are going to work with them, right? So as we talked about, that cell is a basic unit in Excel which is used for actually writing the data. So it's a data, we can store a huge amount of data in Excel. And the first thing that we are going to do over here is referencing, right? What is referencing? So as you can see over here, we have marks 1 and marks 2. So there is some marks which is there in marks 1 and some in marks 2. So how do actually in Excel there are three type of referencing, which is one is your relative referencing, then it is your absolute referencing and your mixed referencing. So relative referencing can be simply used, for example, if you take any of a cell over here, which is like B3, and then you add it to the cell, add it to a cell, which is your C3. So this is called as relative referencing because in this you are actually representing the number in the form of the column and the row which it belongs to, and then you are performing the addition between the two cells, and when you press the enter you get the answer, right? So in case you want to apply this particular formula for the entire cells that you have, so you can easily do it by double clicking it over here, and then you will see that this formula is represented in all the other cells, right? So you can just see that all other cells contain the result of the same thing. But you can see as you move down to a cell here, it is B4 plus C4. So it means that now your column, your this has been changed. Cell is actually representing the B4 and C4. So you have got the addition of this cell and this cell. Similarly, over here, it is B5 and C5. So as you're going to move down, you will see that it is your number. That means the column is remaining the same, but your row number will keep on changing. So this is called as relative referencing. Now we come to absolute referencing. Now, what is absolute referencing? Suppose if you want to find like a 10% of your marks 1 and 10% of your marks 2, right? That means you have to perform 10% of these two numbers, or let's say you want to find the 10% of the sum of these two numbers. So how you can do that? That can be done with the help of relative referencing. So how it is done? We know that this number is going to be same. That means 10% of this entire data. So when we are doing a 10%, we have to make sure that as we are going to move down the cells, it should always be F1. So in that case, what we are going to do is we are going to take this and multiply the result over here with, we are going to multiply this result over with your this 0.1. But since we want to freeze it, so therefore we are going to put a dollar sign in front of F and a dollar sign in front of 1. So that means that even if we are going to move down the cells, F1 will always be 0.1 because it is being freezed. So that is called as your absolute referencing, right? So that is, and similarly, when we are going to use this, we will see the entire record is being changed for the other cells as well, because everywhere F1 will always remain the same because we have put a dollar sign in front of Fn1. Therefore, it will be same for all the cells. So here we have used B3 and C3, which is your relative referencing, and for F1 we have freeze it with a dollar, and that is called as your absolute referencing. So this is actually an example of absolute referencing that we have done by freezing a column 0.1. Now let's come to this particular example of mixed referencing. Now mixed referencing is actually a combination of your absolute referencing and your relative referencing, because here you actually, some of the cells you give it as absolute and some of the cells you give it as mixed. So for example, let's say you have a product A and B, and this is the price of the product, which is 150. And this is a discount. On day one, you're getting 20% discount, and on day two, you're getting a 10% discount. Now, let's say when you are getting a discount of 20%, so you are going to use the formula is equal to $L5. So here your L is actually uh, is fixed, it because you will not move to the next particular column, right? And your 5 will change from L5 to L6, right? Similarly over here you will have 1 minus k $9. So 9 will remain same, whereas k will change to L because when you will go to day 2. So similarly, you can use this formula and you can see the changes that can taking place. So as you're going to move to the next part, you will see that this is the output that you're getting in this. Similarly, for the next cell, you can see that here it was L5, right? And here it is L6. And here it was K9 over here. So it was K9 over here, K$9, right? And here also we are having this value. So therefore the value is 40 over here, right? So this is called as your uh, this is called as your mixed referencing, right? Similarly, over here, we can say that as we are going to move to day 2, there we have 10%. So which is your L$9. And here we have $L5, right? Similarly, when we are going to move down over here, we will have 45 because here we will be having L$9, which is 10%, and for the next B price is 50 for the product, right? So this is your example for mixed referencing. So I hope your referencing part is very clear because you're going to use it further when you'll be working on the formulas and functions. So we have done three types of referencing. One is your relative referencing, in which you do not put a dollar sign because the column will remain the same, but your rows will keep on changing, right? As you're going to move down, right? And as you're going to move right, then your column will be changing and your rows will remain the same, right? So with your absolute referencing, you put a dollar sign between before the column and the row because you want to freeze that particular cell, because it when you're going to move down or to the right, that particular cell do not change. It remains the same. Whereas when we're talking about your mixed referencing, there is a dollar sign before the column and there is a dollar sign either before the column or before the row. The reason for doing this is because when we have a dollar sign before the column, it means that that particular column is freeze, and as we are going to move down, only the row is changing, the column is not changing. Whereas when we put a dollar sign before the row, that means when we are moving to the right, the column name is changing from N to O, but our row is remaining the same. So this was about the referencing. Now let's move to the next topic, which is table, right? Not table. Now, how do you actually create table in Excel? It's again very important because when we are going to move further with making graphs and charts and then working on the pivot table, it's very important to understand that how do we actually create table in Excel. So as you can see over here that this is the Excel sheet, and this sheet contains some data in all the cells. There are two options to create a table. That means you can go to the insert tab, and under the insert tab, you can click on table over here, and then you can give the data that you want to select for the table. So by default, the data is being selected over here, right? And there's one more option, as you can see, to create a table, which is written over here as I put my cursor on this table, which is Control D. So for this, you have to put your data, your this cursor in of the cell, and you have to do Control D. It is again taking the same dialog box. It is asking you for the data of the table, and you have to click on headers also, like if it contain headers. And this is actually your table. Your table is being created. So this table has information regarding age. So as you can see over here, this option which you are seeing, it is about whether this is a drop down over here. So this is basically used. You can just go to a table design, and in that table design, you can actually see over here that it is like a table. It is asking you that like you can just see over here, this is a filter button. So you can just uncheck it. If you uncheck the filter button, that means that all the drop down that were there will not appear because you do not want it. But in case, it's a good option to have a filter because you can see some of the data that you are actually interested in. So for example, let's say I just want to see the information regarding smoker, those who are smoker. So I will click on yes and do okay. So that means I will get all the information regarding all those who are smokers. So this is how I can see my data for all the smokers, right? So in that way, it is easier to actually filter the data. We have other options also, but this is one of the options. And if we just want to clear the filter, we can just put a clear filter and we will get the table back, right? And there are other options also. If you want to summarize this with the pivot table, you can just click on this. If you want to remove the duplicate, you can just click on this, and we have certain duplicates over here, which because some of the values are repeating, right? And if you want some other table style, if you're not interested in this one, you can just hover on these options that are available, and you can just see that which table style you're interested in. So you can just get those table style, which is more, which looks more better. So once getting the table style, you can just look at the data, and that and you can just understand that how you can make your table look more presentable, right? So there are other options also which you can see over there. That means whether you want a header row, you obviously you require it, a total row, which is actually telling you about the total data. Then your banded rows, which is telling you about alternate rows, highlighting the alternate rows. Similarly, there is a banded column, which is highlighting the alternate columns. Last column, so last column will be highlighted. First column will be highlighted, right? Filter we have already talked about, right? So this is all about the that means after you insert the table, you can just go and have a look at this. So there are other options also that you can see over here. So you can just even see and view the table, right, in a particular format. Okay, so this was all about the table. So your table may look, if you want, you can just go back and do it in any of the format you want it to be, right? So even if you want it in a particular format, you can just go to the table style, and you can see that what are the different table styles available, and you can just work on them, and you can also give it a different name. You can just come over here and you can give it a different name. If you want to insert the slicer, you can just insert a slicer as well. Suppose we have for charges, so this slicer will be inserted, and we can click on any of the charges, right? And our table will be, it is just like a filter option that we have. So if in case if it is not required, so we can just remove this, and we can see the data for the entire data set, okay, that we are having, right? So this was all about, and we can also change our slices and make it look more attractive. We can just add on the slicer as well, right? So this was all about the table, and referencing we have already done. Now let's come to the formula and function. So the basic formula and function that we will do in Excel is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and this is power and percentage, right? So let's say you have a number 56 and 45. So in case if you just want to add it, you can simply write 56 plus 45. So it gives you a result. Or what you can do is just you can just like relative referencing, you can just click on this, which is E3. You can perform an addition and you can just click on the next cell, which is 45, and this is what you're getting. So there's a other way of doing this. One more way is that you can put sum, which is your function, and then you can just give the range in case there are only two numbers, but if there are more number, you can also give it and just click on it. And this is the total that you're getting for these two numbers, right? So, and there's for subtraction also, you can just simply give the same. If you need to find the power, now to find the power of that, what you have to do is, suppose like we can give it for the subtraction also, we can give this number, like we can give this over here. So we can give that what we want. We can write this and then we can write minus and we can write this. So we will get the result like this. Now, similarly for the power, you have to give this value for putting a power. So you can just like give a value like this over here. So you can decide this. And if you want to find out the power, you can just click on this and just okay, for finding the power, you can click it and you can just write 2, right? So it is going to give a power of 56 square, which is going to be this. In case if you want to find out, let's say this is 25, and you want to find the square root of 25. So for the square root of 25, you can simply write this value over here, and then you can just give it a, you can give it and you can just give it as a half over here. So then it is going to give you 5 as a square root of 25. And other than this, you can also write a function over here, which is your square root function. And inside this, you can give a number and it is going to give you a square root of this result, which is 5. So there are two options which we have, that either we can just write your exponent of 1 by 2 and of the number which gives you 5, or you can simply write square root function and you get your result, right? And for this, you can write any power. So, and you will get your result, right? Similarly, for the percentage, let's say you want to find a percentage, right? So you can simply put a number over here, right? And then you can just put like a number it, and then you can write that you want it to be multiplied by, let's say you want to it to be multiplied by, so this is, let's say this is our, so you will multiply it by G9%, which is 5%, and you'll get 1.25 as your result, right? So this was about the basic formulas and function that we have in Excel. Now let's come to name formulas. Name formula is used, for example, you have to give a name to a particular group of cells. So you can just click on these cells, select the cells, go to your data, go to your formula, and under the formula, you can just click on the define name. And there, when you click on the define name, you can give the names over here, which is like ages, and whether you want it on workbook or you want on any on the specific table or for a particular formula or a function. So we'll just give it for the workbook and do OK. So, okay, this name is already existing. So we are going to give, let's say, just a age, right? So in case if you just want to find out the sum of this, so you can just write is equal to sum, and then you can give age like this, and you can just enter this. So this entire block of cells will be selected and your output will be 165. So I hope now this name formula is also been clear to you, that how you can use a name formula for a group of cells that you have selected, and you can just give it as an input, as a variable to any of your functions and formula and get the desired output. So this was about the basic of Excel that we have covered. So I hope it was helpful and you were able to understand about the basic and how to use Excel. And in the next session, we will be dealing with some of the more techniques used in Excel, like sorting and filtering and using if else. And thank you so much.